What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for Divorce Sisters Season 1, Episode 3. We getting caught up, okay? We are finally here at this banquet, child. This episode was the first part of the banquet because, baby, the way it ended, I know we got a second part coming. But we pick up where we left off with Geneva and Jovan. Now, let me say something. And y'all know, if I'm being fair, I was very skeptical about going into reviewing this show. For those who know me, y'all know I was on the fence about this, okay? But with that being said, I want to give kudos to Kadeen Ellis. I love Kadeen. I've been following her and her husband for years on social media. And baby, she is giving it to me. She is playing this part. Of course, LaToya Luckett is definitely giving me what I need. But this, so far, I'm here for it. Okay, I'm definitely here for it. So we pick up where we left off. Where we have Geneva and Jovan talking, and Jovan is like, "Is she mine? Like, is that baby mine?" And she was like, "What are you talking about? Why would you say that?" He was like, "Hold up. You decided to name your child the same name that we said we were going to name our child. Like, we had a plan. You were going to leave your husband. I was going to leave my wife, and we was going to ride off into the sunset. I left my wife. You didn't leave your husband. And then I come back in town 6 years later, and Kawinka Dinky, you have a daughter that could have possibly been conceived around the same time we were having our affair, and you named her what we said we would name our child. That's too much of a coincidence for me. Is she mine?" Now, Geneva was like, "No, she's not yours. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you coming in here and disrupting my life? Me and my husband are in a different space. We're in a different place. We are working things out. And I don't need all of this. You doing too much, okay?" And then John comes downstairs, and poor John, he is so oblivious to everything that's going on. Poor thing. He is convinced that he's going to set Jovan up with Tiffany. Now, Tiffany, I'm calling him John. John is not, John is Tiffany's husband. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. John is Tiffany's husband. John is Tiffany's husband. Okay, well, ex-husband. But either way, he gonna set Jovan up with Tiffany, and he is so giddy. He's like, "Ooh, this is gonna be great. You know, y'all will be good together." Oblivious to the fact that, baby, your wife, him, Jovan, right there. That's them. Now, while this is going on, we sitting in the car with Rashida and with the pastor, Jeff, and listen, first of all, that car is bad as hell. That Bentley, whew, I'm sure that thing was probably about $300,000 vehicle. That thing is beautiful, okay? I'm sorry, it wasn't a Bentley, it was a Rolls Royce. It was beautiful, though. So they're in the car talking. Now listen, this is what I'm going to say about this. And I know y'all probably not going to like what I'm getting ready to say. But baby, Rashida was getting on my nerves in that car. Okay, they in the car, they riding along, they listening to their gospel, trying to get their mind right on their way to this event that they got to put on their best, smiles and everything for. And she was like, "Do you love me?" I know men hate when women do this. "Do you love me?" And he was like, "Of course I love you." "Well, you never tell me." He was like, "What you mean? I tell you every Sunday." She was like, "Do you not hear yourself? You tell me every Sunday at church in front of the congregation. It's performative. It's not real. Do you love me? Me. Love me." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not doing this with you. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we having this conversation? Like, I can't do this with you." And she was like, he said, "Look, I'm going to do better." She was like, "We don't go out on any dates. We don't do anything. We don't spend any time together." He was like, "I'm going to do better." Now, I'm going to chalk this up to her knowing her husband, because she was like, "That's performative. I don't believe you." And I feel like, now, for me on the outside looking in, I was like, "Well, damn, what you want from him? The man said he was going to do better. The man said he was going to try and work this out, and he wanted to do better. What you want from him?" But then on the flip side of that, I'm like, you know your husband, and in your mind, this is performative, right? This is just performative. He says this just to pacify you, just to be able to move on to the next thing. So I'm gonna chalk it up to your husband, because I felt like he said he was gonna do better. So then he's talking about something. "I gave you a good life. What you mad for? I gave you a good life." Now, I knew he was on the wrong road when he did that. When he started talking about what he gave her a good life, I said, "Uh-oh, you made a left, and you should have stayed straight. You made a left." Then I was like, "I can't help you, bruh, because you went left when you should have and then you did that, but you should have did. So what we find out is this good life that he provided her, she really provided for herself, because she said, don't forget that we used the inheritance from my grandfather endowment to build this church that you are now the head of, and I'm the pastor, you the pastor. Don't act like you gave me anything, sir, because technically I gave it to you. So then he was like, well, what you trying to say? What you trying to say? She was like, oh, I already did. And then she turned the music up like, this conversation is done. Now, the other thing she kept throwing hints at was she sees everything. She knows what's going on, and she sees everything. Which makes me, y'all had already spoiled it for me. Well, not y'all, but the internet done already spoiled it for me. So I already know what the big secret is with Jeff. But I actually called it. If y'all go back to my first review, I actually called it and told y'all what I thought the secret was with Pastor Jeff was. I already told you, so I got it right. But I feel like she already knew what the deal was. Maybe she didn't want to believe it. Maybe she was in a little bit of denial. But she already knew what the deal was, right? That's how I'm feeling. So that's how that conversation ends. Now, while this is happening, Naomi is back at her mansion getting her glam together for the banquet. You know, I told y'all she had already saw on the internet where her husband made some little cryptic message about getting back what's his, and she was like, he's up to something. He's up to something. Now, next thing you know, she get ready to leave for the event, and the police come knocking at her door. They say they got a warrant to basically, they have a warrant to confiscate certain items that she has in her possession that she's not supposed to have. Now, and then one of her husband's attorneys is there. Franklin, I'm sorry, y'all. Bear with me. Franklin is her ex-husband. Now, let me say this. Out of all of these storylines, Naomi is the only one that it's just getting on my nerves. I'm just not really feeling it. I don't know where I'm going to be by episode 6, but I'm going to tell you where I am right now. And where I am right now is Naomi is irritating my soul. Naomi is that one friend that you always look at a friend group and be like, why are y'all friends with her? Right? Come to find out, Naomi had kept a bunch of stuff in the divorce that she wasn't supposed to keep. And her attorney, Geneva, had been telling her, girl, you got to get that stuff back. You have to give that stuff back. So the police showed up at her door, knock, 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 with a warrant and a list of things that she wasn't even supposed to have in her possession. Here's what I find to be crazy. So when your husband posted on social media, he coming back to get what's his, how you ain't know what he was up to? How you didn't know what he was up to? So he came, so they took the cars, they took her jewelry, they took the earrings out of her ears and the rings off her fingers. They took artwork, they took her furs, and then they said the only thing was left was the safe. Now, she never did open up that safe. The police just left. Now, I don't know what, I guess they forgot that they didn't get into the safe, but neither here nor there. Of course, he left her with like a vintage Mercedes-Benz, which it's a vintage Benz, but I'm sure, she had a Lamborghini and a Range Rover. I'm sure she was feeling some kind of way about being left with the Benz. So she goes off and she's driving and she goes down to, the seedy part of town and gets drunk. Only reason why I know it was a seedy part of town, because when they show her coming out of the liquor store, it looked like the hood. It sounded like the hood and it looked like the hood. Okay. Now she got this designer gown on. She's got hair and makeup, and she's getting into this vintage Benz down in the hood drunk. And she already drunk. Geneva's hairstylist, Naomi's hairstylist, who's also her friend, tried to call Geneva and say, look, this is what's going on. We need you to show up. We need you to, figure some things out. They finally get, they get to the banquet hall. By the time they get to the banquet hall, all the women go to the bathroom. So we have, Geneva, we got the Tiffany, I believe it was Tiffany. I don't know if Brittany was there or not, but Tiffany, Geneva, and Rashida are in the bathroom. Bridget was probably there too. All of them was probably there. And they actually get Naomi on the phone, and Naomi's telling them what happened. And they were like, and Geneva was like, girl, but I told you. Like, I told you to get that stuff back. I'm not understanding. I told you. So, and she was like, well, I need to sue. I'm suing. And she was like, what you suing? There's nothing to sue. Like, there's nothing to sue. Like, you were supposed to give that stuff back. I'm not understanding what you're not understanding. So she was like, well, you're a terrible attorney. You suck. And Geneva was like, girl, I did the best I could with what you was giving me. Okay. I think walking away with $37 million, I think that was a pretty damn good divorce. Even if you didn't get to keep all the material things, hell, you can buy another Range Rover with $37 million. But again, we all know that it's not about the things. It's about the fact that she's hurt. He broke her heart. And it sounds like he's a SOB too. Sounds like he's not a very nice person anyway. So then, Naomi was like, well, I'm not coming. And they were like, good. Because, of course, they didn't want her to... By this time, they could tell she was drunk. And they didn't want her showing up drunk. Because they still don't know whether Franklin is coming or not. Now, they didn't want her driving either. Because they could also tell she was drunk. But she hung up the phone before they got a chance to find out where she was. Because, Kadeen was like... I keep saying Kadeen. Geneva was like, well, I can send a car. We can send somebody to come and get you. Now, I'm going to be honest. As a friend, I probably would have kept trying to call back and be like, girl, well, where are you? You sound like you've been drinking. Are you home? Are you driving? Please don't drive. I probably would have kept calling her back. But they, it didn't look like they did. I'm going to say that. It didn't look like they kept calling. They were just relieved that she wasn't going to show up to this damn banquet drunk as hell. Okay? They was relieved that that's not how she was showing up. So then, Bridget and her boyfriend, listen. Girl, is it that bad out here? I know it's bad. I ain't gonna tell y'all no lies. Listen, it's bad out here. But is it that bad? Because this dude was a clown from the word go. First of all, he had on a waiter's outfit. So when the event coordinator thought he was one of the waiters and told him, what you doing out here? You supposed to be in the back getting ready. Like, why are you out here? Like, you shouldn't be out here mixing and mingling with the guests. So he gets all loud. What you talking about? Who you talking to? So Bridget was like, listen, he's with me. He's one of the guests. So then he gets mad. Why you telling me a guest? Why you not saying I'm your man? Like, you act like you embarrassed. You think? Then he's talking to the fellas. Because, of course, all the fellas get to congregating. And that that's the pastor. That that's Pastor Jeff. And you get to cussing. So they were like, why are you cussing? Like, that is disrespectful. So... they were supposed to... Bridget had put him at a table away from all of them. Because, again, she know he's embarrassing and loud and ignorant. He was like, why I got to sit over there? Why I got to sit over there? Why I can't sit over here? You embarrassed or something? So they end up sitting at the table. And then, of course, he is disrespectful. He ignorant, right? Now, while this is going on, Rashida then went in the back because Kadeen then had a whole breakdown because Tiffany and Javon seem to be hitting it off. They sitting next to each other at the table and they seem to actually be sort of hitting it off. So Kadeen is starting to have a little breakdown. She gets up to go to the bathroom and of course Rashida go behind her because Rashida know what the deal is. I don't think the other women know, but Rashida know what the deal is. Now while this is going on, Pastor Franklin's, assistant, he slides over to the table. He slides over to the table and that's when he gets into it with Tiffany's boyfriend and tells them Bridget's boyfriend, and tells him y'all need to go somewhere. He's being disrespectful to the pastor. Now back in the bathroom where Geneva is having her breakdown with Rashida, I gave Rashida some kudos last week, on the last episode, because I was like, oh, she know about her friend in this affair, and she's not judging, even though she's a pastor, and she's still being a friend to her. But she ain't know the whole story. She didn't have all of the details, honey. She didn't know the whole story. So now Geneva is telling her the whole story. Like, yes, we did sleep together. I was going through IVF, but I thought that the IVF just worked. I don't know. My baby could be his. Because Geneva was like, y'all slept together? And she was like, yeah. She was like, more than once? And Geneva was like, girl, okay. And you could see that she was like rethinking her whole thought process at that point. Like, damn, okay, well, whoo, all right. Ooh, I don't even know where to go with this. So while this is going on, Franklin shows up with his wife, who happens to be white. So, that's a whole thing. And Naomi's girls got her back. Naomi's girls got her back. You know, she called Naomi a dragon lady, and they was like, who you talking about? Who's the dragon lady? And they making little comments about Franklin dating a white woman and being with a white woman. Now, mind you, the purpose of this banquet is to raise money for a new church. So they want Franklin there because Franklin clearly got the big bucks. If he could afford to pay Naomi $37 million in a divorce, he clearly got the big bucks, right? So, of course, the pastor kissing his butt because he want that check. And the ladies are side-eyeing and feeling some kind of way about the whole situation. They like, damn, well, it's a good thing Naomi ain't here. Well, who come walking in the room? Naomi. Drunk as hell. And that's how the episode ended. So, baby, we're going to get into episode 4. Let me know what y'all think, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.